Hello and welcome to Mitten Backstage. Thanks so much for joining us today. I had a great time chatting with today's guest, Karli Morehouse. Now, Karli is a member of Lipstick Jody, one of the founders of the band, and there's so much music from them coming out this year that they've put out. They have such a great sound. The band is dialed in. They've been super fun to play with. You know, we've shared shows together in my band, Earth Radio. We're actually doing a show together March 18th at the Pyramid Scheme. If y'all are in Grand Rapids around then, it's going to be Earth Radio's album release party for 2023. So should be a fun time. But we chatted a lot today about internet culture, social media, just the ways we're trying to digest and navigate all these different expectations of musicians online nowadays. And it was fun to just really dive into that subject matter with someone who understands the paralyzing decision making that comes from having so many tools at your disposal, but not wanting to put things out that do not serve growing a band or a business, but also still trying to be personable along the way. So we get vulnerable and talk about our recent wellness experiences as well, and how we're trying to take better care of ourselves and the people around us. So it was a great conversation. If you like today's episode and you want to support this podcast and other music things that I do, you can head on over to patreon.com/Dutcher Snedeker. There you can contribute at different tier levels to get access to different perks. Things are going to be updated for 2023 to make things a little more streamlined. I'm all caught up on the Patreon newsletters. So if you haven't gotten yours yet, it should be coming soon. You could also go to DutcherSnedeker.com to see everything else that I'm up to around the internet, around the West Michigan area, around the greater Michigan area, playing with bands like Earth Radio, Normal Mode, Mark Lavengood, the Music That Raised Us tribute show. I'm currently working on a musical with West Shore Community College. So if you have the first 2 weekends of March free and you're looking for something to do, come check out our production of Footloose. It's going to be a fun time. Anyway, let's get right into today's conversation with Karli Morehouse. Yeah, how's it been? It's a new year. Things are happening. We're doing a show together.
It's holidays are overwhelming, but other than that, it's been good. Just trying to collect everything and figure out what to do with it, basically. How have you been?
Yeah, I feel like I'm in a similar boat where I had a massage therapy appointment this week, and the masseuse I work with likes to kind of do like a debriefing of like, okay, how was your week? What's some stressors, like try to just like calm down a little bit before getting into the session. Mm-hmm. And she was mentioning like, oh, the word I would describe for what you were telling me is exasperated. I'm like, yeah, it's because I had like, the holidays were fun, and I got to see some music and do some things, which, very rare when you're a musician. It's like, oh, I'm going to go see entertainment that I'm not also playing.
Honestly, truly. God.
And so it was fun. But then that first full week of January, I ended up getting COVID. Like I finally got it. So I was like, okay, the 1 week I was going to have to like decompress and like practice for this musical contract that I'm doing now is like, I'm just trying to get better from COVID. So it was just like getting sick and then thrown right into the, living part-time in Ludington and, being home for the weekends for, certain gigs or things.
Sure.
So,
oh my God.
Yeah. It's like, all right, here we go.
I've had COVID twice. It's horrible. So I'm sorry that happened to you. It's terrible.
Yeah. It was very like, it was that thing where when I tested negative, I was like, cool. And I didn't have a day to decompress from that. It was just like, all right, I got a photo shoot, Music That Raised Us. The musical thing starts, the next day. I had a recording session the same day as one of the rehearsals. I had to like drive down to Grand Haven and then back up to Ludington to make rehearsal. And I was just like, okay, I'd like a break again.
I think a lot of people that don't do music think that that everything is directly next to each other or like in our own homes.
Yeah.
And don't realize like the scheduling and like the driving it takes to like do every little thing that is required of you, like as a musician.
Yeah.
Like,
and especially like, I think of things like budgeting. Like, if you go to the same job every week, you go to the same places around town for entertainment, you don't, you plan your travel out months in advance versus like, okay, this week I'm in these 4 cities and
God.
I just kind of have to work around that.
Right. And it's like, it's not just I'm in these 4 cities. It's like, I'm getting there. I'm having to like figure out how to eat in between at like somewhat regular hours. If you're lucky, and making sure that you're drinking enough water while you're in the car, while simultaneously not drinking enough water because you can't stop that frequently.
Yes.
Like there's just so many moving parts like all the time, and I don't think anyone thinks about it. I don't.
Yeah. And it's like, there's some people who they'll see like, oh no, but like the tour bus, like you get a bus and someone drives you can sleep during the night and you're at your next stop. And it's like, but you're bunked with a bunch of people, or it's like you're crammed in like, it's a larger vehicle than your personal car, but it's still, you're cramming as much stuff into one vehicle and it's not always comfortable. And, it's hard to focus sometimes. It's like, we're not all like, I joke that I wish there was, like whatever like Goku and Vegeta and Dragon Ball Z use when they get into that like stasis chamber and they're all like, all the metric, I don't know, they're all wired up and it's like, I just got crushed by a planet, but in this chamber I'll heal in like 2 days.
No big deal. That honestly sounds great. That sounds really nice. That's actually your massage therapy appointments. That's what that is.
It's just a pod. And and then I had my first semi-negative experience with what was it, like a sensory deprivation tank, because I've done it a bunch of times and it's always been like I'm calm, it's relaxing, you get into like a meditative state. But then last week it must have just been coming off of COVID, like still a lot of baked in stress from being sick. It was like once I got in the flow of it, it was like, oh, this is just a stress dream now. And I'm just in this tank.
I'm actually terrified. Someone let me out.
I'm like, why is there more ache and more pain?
Oh no.
So I got out and I was just like, okay, maybe the shower will help. But then I just got tired from the shower and I'm like, all right, I guess here we go. Just chin up.
Oh God.
So hopefully it's been at least, I've heard a lot of people who've had the opposite where it's like, oh, it's kind of a slow start to the year. And I'm like, that can we like trade a couple days?
Yeah. I feel like, I feel like I have like both of those experiences in this moment. It's very, we're recording new music, or we're trying to like, we have a bunch of new music that we're trying to finish. And it's like, basically like we have a lot to do and we have days and we are busy, but at the same time, it's very much just like, hurry up and wait.
Yeah.
Okay. No, we're going. No, stop. Now we got to wait for this thing. Okay. No, we're going to go again. We're good. Like,
yeah.
So it can be anxiety inducing for sure. My microphone is falling. I just realized.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute. That's way lower than it was.
Just slowly. Yeah.
Oh geez. The stand is old.
Yeah. Well, and I totally get that with, Earth Radio. We, obviously we have the show together and that's our album release for this EP that we've been working on the last couple of years. But then, Monday we're going to start our rehearsals for the planetarium show, at least, meeting in the space to like dial in how it works with the visuals.
That'll look so sweet. I'm so excited.
Yeah, it was such a fun time last year with normal mode, and that, it felt easy because normal mode, a lot of the, it's a lot of space imagery and stuff. So it was like, hey, can you just like, this is about Carl Sagan. Can you just plop up something and some Carl Sagan audio or something.
Nice.
But yeah, with Earth Radio, it'll be fun to kind of soft launch the EP and drop a single that day, and drop in space because why not? Planetarium.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, that's gonna be really sick.
Yeah, and so it's like there's been a lot of because our last show was supposed to be in December, but we ended up having to cancel, and so the last thing we did together, I think it was day before Thanksgiving. So that was our last show with the band. And we haven't, we've been doing like virtual meetings and, remotely and, talking about stuff and getting things planned. And Justin's been doing booking and, Hannah just took a trip to New Orleans, and it's like everyone's kind of doing little things individually. And, and we're going to kind of come together, and it's like, all right, we got a week to make sure this is dialed in. And
we have the same thing. We have the same exact thing, except they live like 2 hours in each direction from me. So it's like a lot. Some of the time it's just like day of like, okay, we're going to practice. Then we're going to play the show same day. Let's go. Like, it's really, it's great. It's wonderful.
Yeah. And I think that's another thing people forget about bands is like, as much as you see them all together on a stage, the handful of times you see them in a year, it's like they might not all live in the same city. It's not, some bands are like, I have a house in LA, and he lives in Chicago, and then they like build their own mini careers on the off times from the band, and then they have an agency helping put together like, all right, you're doing 2 months, and then they all get together and travel, and then it's like, kind of like a theater production, like truly. Yeah. Do we remember how to do this? All right, your part. All right, lighting guy. All right, sound guy. Yeah, it's a lot of moving parts, and but yeah, it's even as weird as the year started, it's feeling like a better start to the year overall. Because last year was like, I was supposed to do the musical I'm doing this year last year, but Ludington had like a 25% Omicron infection rate. So it was like every event they did, it was like multiple people are getting sick. There was no, there was no like, all right, let's, keep things updated and keep people in the know. It was like 2 weeks before I was expecting to go. It was pulled. The plug was pulled. And I'm like, okay, that's 2.5 months of work that just opened up.
Oh my God. So, that's just.
Yeah. It was very like, like you can't give me like even $500
to cover the brain power I just put into this. Like,
yeah, like it was fortunate that like, Mark Lavengood was having some stuff at the Old Goat, so I jumped on those, and then that led to getting in the, meeting the management and all the people there to be able to get the solo gig, and then Normal Mode had our residency, so it was like some good things came out of, a very unexpected cancellation, but yeah, this year, and even in spite of COVID, it was like, all right, there's the things that have been planned for months are happening.
Oh my God. Yeah. And you can actually like mildly count on them.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. It's very like, last year was so busy, and it felt kind of like a reaction to the past couple of years of just like,
I felt that
like everything and everyone's going to see everything we're doing because we're going everywhere. And now this year we're like, all right, we have control a little more over what we can do. So let's hit these spots, make time to create stuff, not go crazy.
Yeah. Like that's a lot of what we've been doing. Like even we're not as booked as we usually would be at this point, but like we have a handful of things that just need to be confirmed, but like,
right.
Everything has been, the last couple of months have been just very much like, I want to intentionally do things next year or this year rather.
Right.
Like with recording and with like releasing things intentionally, the things that I want to release, and like actually spend time doing them and making what we want to be making, but also with shows like we thoroughly enjoyed, and I thoroughly enjoyed like playing everything we played last year, like live. But
right.
Yeah, again, like it very much felt like a symptom of like none of us got to do anything for like 2 years. And then I kind of just like said yes to anything. And it was just, which is fine. But yeah, I think for career's sake, it's just, I feel like this year is the year of intention. That's what I keep calling it. It has to be done. It just has to be done.
Yeah. And that's why I felt compelled at the end of the year. You know, it was such a weird, like, it felt like 2 months of like trying to address burnout, like towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
And just getting like, all right, I get a little dopamine kick from doing some shows, but then it's like, all right, I have a week where I still have work to do, but I don't want to do anything, but I have to do this work.
Yes.
But because
I just inserted myself for a month. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like so, I need a minute.
Yeah, I need it. And you know, that's a lot of what all the groups I'm involved in have been talking about, like being a little more strategic of where we're playing, how we're presenting the band, how we're, you know, making content, you know, trying to grow the, you know, the infrastructure online, but also trying to manage it in a way that's not, you know, like we all can't be a Gary V who's got an entire team who can document every second of word he says about, you know, work as hard as I do, but you got to be happy. But if you work as hard as I do, you won't be.
I have such a hard time with content, like, and it just gets worse and worse by the day. But like, I thoroughly enjoy making it, like when I do make it, but it, a lot of what I want to make isn't necessarily productive online in that moment, because everything like just like moves so quickly. Like, like this is really cool for like 2 seconds, or like this is trending for a minute. And I don't know. I've always very much just tried to like put myself out there rather than like maybe what the internet wants me to do or wants musicians to do, period. I don't know. I've just been having fun, like doing like stupid little mini covers, or like or like if a meme does like hit me, just try it. Like I love doing that kind of stuff. Like I want to do something that's going to make me happy that other people might like. Like it's just, it's a really hard balance lately, I've been noticing.
Yeah. It's, and, you know, I think of like in the way that like, you know, in the, I don't know, the 60s, you've got like, okay, you can do radio, television, newspapers, magazine, like you could do print and like a couple visual and audio advertising. And it's like, you know, it's like, oh, I want to have people buy my cars. So you make a bunch of different ads at different spaces, like, you know, different presentations of that same idea. And now that's the same with like social media. You have like, all right, if I make a reel on Instagram, I have to kind of dress it up or present it a little different if it wants to be a YouTube short. But then I have to change it a little bit for TikTok and a little bit, you know, if you want to even be on Snapchat, where it just seems like a graveyard for internet reality TV or something.
Yeah, no, the Snapchat highlights are really freaky. I can't even open that tab. I'm just like, I'm on Snapchat to troll my friends and to show them cat pictures. That's all I need. Yeah. But yeah, no, like even just like I try to like if I make TikToks, or when I do, like I try to just stay to TikTok and Reels. But yeah, it's like you have to think about like how the app communicates with like what you're making. And like obviously you want people to like see and like the thing that you're making, even if like, you know, you're not necessarily trying to go viral in that moment, or you know that like it's not like it, you know, like it might it probably won't, but like, this is fun to do in the moment. But like, yeah, it's, I finally figured out the app to use so that like I can film, edit, and like add effects to a TikTok that I make or a reel that I want to post on Instagram and TikTok, and then like export it and then put it into the app. So, but like in a way where the app won't shadow ban us.
Right.
Because we've still used an app that like they have relations with, if that makes any, like you have to sit and think about like how the algorithm works too. Cause I'm just like, I'm not just going to make this for nobody or else I won't do it.
Right.
Like it's just, there's just so many, again, like I guess that's the theme, just like a bunch of moving parts that like, I don't think a lot of people think about, especially people that don't make content on a regular basis. And it's so, and if when I do come up with an idea or like I get stuck on an idea that I want to do something, I have to like put that away or else I will not do it. Like, because there's just so much there.
Yeah. And like, yeah, it's that feeling of, you know, you don't want to make something for nobody. It's like, it's that weird feeling of like, okay, artists are supposed to make things and that's how they improve their own, you know, they hone their craft. They, you know, maybe they find insight and it evolves, but then it's that weird thing of like, okay, but now creation is the marketing tool very explicitly, but everyone's consuming it, you know, different. It's like some people listen to 4 hours of Joe Rogan on DMT, and then the other people can't make it through a 15-second TikTok without like hitting another.
Truly though.
And it's like, there's no way to like, I mean, you know, technically there is if you like pay a bunch of money and get you know, send out a bunch of ads, get, you know, cast a bunch of lines, get analytical data, have a team to analyze that, you know, like
that's different. Like, yeah. if there was a whole team that strictly just was like, hey, make this, that'd be A+. That'd be A+. Cause it's like, I can make the thing. I can film myself doing the thing. I can even like edit it and like put it together for you. But when it comes to like that thing doing what we want it to do, which is be seen and be liked, at a semi-successful or viral level.
Right.
I don't want to, I can't think about all of that at the same time, or it's just so overwhelming that I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done. Yeah. I'm done. I'm over it. Or like, especially like during the shutdown and stuff, it's when like none of us could like, sorry, I live on Eastern and they like to drag race here, I guess. It's great. I love it here. They like during the shutdown I was like an avid like gym rat. Like I went to the gym like 5 times a week, like minimum. I was like eating super like pretty clean enough. Like I'm not gonna like hate myself, but like, I ate pretty clean and I was like super healthy, super fit, doing like face masks and like the whole like I was doing a lot of self-care, and then the shutdown happened and it was like end of life, end of all of that. Cause it's like, you can only like go in the living room, especially when you have like roommates who are like, I loved, but like, there's only so much exercise you can do in another room with other people there when you don't have access to like any sort of equipment. There's only so many body workouts you can do. And I hate running outside. I'm not doing that, but and no one needs to see that. But like when I would try to make content, like, especially like as it dragged on and as I like didn't look how I wanted to, cause like I suffer from like dysphoria and dysmorphia, like gender and body, like, and like sometimes, and it's like not as bad lately. I've actually been pretty good, but like,
that's good.
When I make this content, I'll do like multiple takes and I'm like, you know what? I'm ugly. I don't want to do this anymore. And I rationally know that's not true. Like I rationally know, but it's just like, I don't know, you get to a point where it's like, there are too many things that I have to monitor while I'm doing this, while also making it, that I just am like, you know what? I don't have the capacity for this today. I can't do it. It's just too damn much.
Yeah. Well, and part of this process I've been going on recently too, of like, because self-care in 2020 was like, what if all of the food came to my house all the time?
Yes. You want your groceries delivered? You don't even need to take a walk while you do it.
Yeah. Like, you want groceries, don't even have the energy to make food. How about, you're a hero if you order locally.
Yeah.
It's like Jim Gaffigan's joke. He's like, wait a minute, I'm a hero if I eat out every day.
Literally.
Is my time.
That was exactly what they did. It was like when the shutdown really happened. It was Andy and I and Jody and Andy's girlfriend, our friend Alana, and we had like the best time. Like truly, like we couldn't have like been with better people like in that situation, because we were all just like, we all have like this mania, and when we get together it gets worse. But it's funny and it's fun and it's like, it's whimsical and it's like, right. It's a really good time. And basically all we did was just like play cards, and Alana's a bartender, and like she just like would make drinks constantly. Oh, wow. So and it's like, what else are you gonna do, but after a good handful of months, I start realizing that my body doesn't respond to alcohol very well, and that I'm not going to the gym, and then all of these things are happening. And by the time that I'm like, oh, I should probably start making content, I'm like, I look horrible. I don't want anyone to see me. I don't want anyone to see me do anything. I think we've made a grave mistake, you guys.
Yeah. And it was interesting for me because like, I felt like I made a ton of content in 2020 and 2021, and then like only pockets of it during 2022.
Because we were all playing shows.
Yeah. It was just like, all right, I got, a clip from yesterday, or like, I like to take people's Instagram story clips and just like make them into a reel and tag a bunch of people and be like, thanks for coming to the show. But it was like when, some people would be like, oh, this is definitely my worst. Cause it was like, I was at my unhealthiest point. I was just, kind of, I was almost like trying to, cause I'm all about like, hey, this is the music industry. It's not you seeing Ariana Grande once on television. That's not the industry. The industry is thousands of people all trying to figure out what like 10 organizations seem to dictate for the planet.
Yeah.
and it's like, you could buy whatever guide, you could, try whatever skill, but there's still a level of luck or, the right, not even like the right planned thing at the right time. Sometimes it's like the planned thing at the wrong time, or the wrong thing at the,
yes.
It's like, I didn't want to be known for this, but I guess this is what people latched on to.
Right. No, I think of like the Candid Kirkland band, which like, I don't know if you've heard it. Have you seen any of that? I've briefly seen it.
Maybe a little bit. Yeah.
Which like basically they just, it's a band, but they're all friends and they hang out, and they just they get a brand of I think it's just alcohol, or maybe it's alcohol and food, I don't know, but I saw the alcohol one where it was just like, here is a whiskey from Costco, and then here is a whiskey that is supposed to be equivalent, and they have to guess which one's which.
Oh,
or like if like the Costco one is better, it's like it's a blind taste test, whatever. But that shit popped off.
Yeah.
And they're like touring and like selling out venues and shit. And I'm just like, that's cool. I think I would be really upset if that happened. Like, that's not what I want to pop off with. Like, that's not the way I want to do it. And I see a lot of TikTok artists that are doing that, which is like, it's fine. And that's cool. But like, me personally, I don't want to be a flash in the pan artist if that, right. Like, if and when success happens.
Right.
I want to continue to be like create art and create it in like the big emotional way that I do it.
Right.
I don't want to like, sure, let's have a meme pop off, but like, I'm going to be in the comments being like, yo, I'm actually really sad. Here's some music. Like, I'm actually not funny. Here's this album I wrote about how much I cry. I don't know. Like,
yeah. Listen to this.
Listen to this. You'll think it's really funny. Like,
yeah. You'll love it.
You'll love it.
Well, and that's kind of been, you know, part of the recent journey, at least with, you know, I started with a nutritionist in November, and I, you know, got a new massage therapist. I, you know, saw a chiropractor for the first time. I'm like trying to dial in, like, these are the things I need to do to get to feeling better at a more constant. Cause yeah,
you became aware of it too.
Yeah. It, like just being aware of it. And then, you know, as things progress forward, it's like, it's that I think the two main frustrating things is like, okay, this thing that was, you know, my unconscious or conscious way of coping for like a decade through music school and like all the craziness of that, that got me to this point isn't working. So it's like, okay, I can't, all those instinctive habits I have to retrain, and that's frustrating.
That's hard.
And then it's the other thing of like, it's like, I know I'm intelligent and I know I can play piano well, but you know, intelligence and piano aren't going to change the habits. It's got to be consistent. I mean, to some degree, intelligence, but like it's just showing up and being consistent. And that's very tricky when your schedule could be like, I have the whole day open, but tomorrow is booked from 9 a.m. till midnight, or, you know, like just some crazy full day of multiple, you know, rehearsals, or, you know, like yesterday I did the Old Goat and then had a couple hours to just kind of glance at Nathan Walton's music. And then I went to Founders and played with him, and that was still like 11. But, so yeah, it's like figuring out how to thinking about like when I made content 2020, 2021, it was like, okay, the authenticity is like, okay, look at, you know, I'm playing music, but do you see how like tired and like just sad and like not just be like, okay, do you like this? I really wish I could go play somewhere, but
yeah, no, it's not the same. We tried doing a streaming thing for a couple weeks, especially when they were like first like revving up. And I just, cause we lived together, and I looked at him and I was just like, I can't do this. This is actually just making me sad. Like, this is actually just making me upset. Cause like, I love playing music. Like, and there's multiple like levels of that. But to play for other people and not hear anything on the other end is like so isolating. And I struggle with isolations, and that was like peak isolation. Yeah. And so I was just like, Andy, we can't do this. Like, I'm just like, I don't want to keep doing this at all. Actually, I'm good. I'm all set. This is actually just upsetting me. Like,
yeah, and in some ways it was nice to be involved with like the Spread the Music Fest and like the music, the Michigan Artist
that was fun.
Fund, and yeah, it was good to have some things I could you know, certain remote collaborations, certain, you know, just things to kind of break up the, you know, the constant of like, okay, nothing's changed yet, so yeah. I guess I gotta do something to make it feel like it's a different day.
Yeah, no, literally.
And
I gotta go outside and go touch some grass. Like,
gotta see sunlight.
God. I don't know. I know it's like, obviously like COVID's still a thing, but like right. Obviously, but on the other hand, like everything is a lot more safe. It's a lot more open. Like plans are still happening, but this overcast weather is reminding me of that time quite a bit lately. So I think it's just on my mind.
Yeah.
Where I'm at, like, I'm where you're at, right? Like, I think it was, I think it was around November. I think you and I are on the same thing where I just, I asked Jody for something. I asked her to find me a video of Andy from like, I think it was from Beaver Island or something. It was for his birthday. I wanted to like post it.
Oh yeah.
And it was on her phone, and she started going through her Instagram to find it, like her archives. And she started finding a bunch of stuff from like before the shutdown. And because she was going to the gym with me, like she's eating with me and like,
oh yeah,
all of that. And I'm like in the throes of depression. And then I look at these videos and she's sending them to me and she's like, look at this, look at that. And I'm just like, that destroyed me. I look so healthy, and not even like, I was like in a body way, sure. But like,
right.
I had so much energy and like so much positive energy, and was just like looking forward to the next day, you know? Like I was like, she just kept sending them to me. And then I like got home from work and she's like showing me some more in person. And I'm just like, I need to go back to the gym. I need to go back to the gym, because I originally started because I have severe anxiety, like just like get it off of me. I'm like dealing with a weird like panic disorder, like throat tension thing.
Oh yeah.
It's really cool. It happens for no reason. Great. It's awesome. Had to get a psych eval or a psych referral. Haven't had the eval yet. Super cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like, I was like, I need to go back to the gym, not only to like just move my body more, but for the endorphins alone, because I looked so happy to be there. Like just, I looked so excited for whatever was about to happen next. And it has helped, like it like facing that and like, again, changing those habits. Like, hey, we can't sit and like watch TV after dinner. Like right. I need to do something else. Whether that be, I have a standing desk in my studio. And so I'm not sitting down. I've like got my synths are up. I've got the guitar out, like everything's got to be ready to go so that I can walk down there and like make or do whatever and not sit down and like with my crouched over our shoulders and all that. But yeah, finding like facing that, going, okay, just do it.
Yep.
You like, obviously it works for you. I just watched it in like real time, and like just instilling those behaviors and like changing those habits. It's like so hard, but like in this moment, I feel so much better than I did before. It's like in like early November, October, I was starting to lose my mind a little bit. So long story to say, I totally understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. Yes.
Like I gotta find something. I gotta do like, because as much as music is an outlet and like is a form of meditation and is a form of therapy, that it's also like your wife. It's also your partner. It's also your child. It's also like it's also your job. And you can't just like you can't put all of that into the person you're with. You can't put all of that into one basket like that and expect everything to go the way you want it to.
Right. Yeah.
Like you gotta move some eggs around. Like
yeah, it was definitely like, because granted, I think another aspect of how tricky it's been is like starting new food habits around the holidays was really hard.
Yes.
And,
oh my God.
You know, it was like, all right, we're going to hibachi, but I have to like portion it down and I can't have it prepared a certain way. And then, all right, it's Christmas Day. And every Christmas, my mom makes like 10 desserts.
Oh my
God.
God.
You know, like different cookies or little brownies, or, you know, get some ice cream or pie or cake or, you know, whatever she wants to have as on a spread. And so it was like, well, I can't do that. Gotta bring my own, like, here's my chicken and veggies I made because today's the protein and veggie day.
Yeah.
Or, you know, whatever.
Yeah. And that's, yeah. And it's in also like not punishing yourself if you like do like stray away from the intention that you had that day or that moment or that week or whatever. Like that's also another part, just like being like, it's fine. It's not going to destroy what I'm doing here.
Right. And that's, and that's where, like, I think there's, I don't think it's a full-blown anxiety disorder, but it's, I think of like when I was at Western, my first semester, I had a pretty bad feeling of like what I think was imposter syndrome. I didn't feel like I had deserved the money just because I felt a little overwhelmed with the schedule and kind of trying to process like, like I had done some jazz, gigging out around the area. And like, I had learned a lot doing it as an elective in my classical undergrad, but then getting into the weeds of actual jazz. And it's like, it's such a tall order to like, like, hey, digest, it's like every person who's studied it forever, they all have an album you have to listen to and you have to transcribe from, and you have to, it's like, have you listened to this band that was only made twice in existence, playing one live recording that was a bootleg recorded on the B side of I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
That's not a language I know.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm trying to just get the degree. I also have the rest of my life to learn all the jazz. And it's like, I feel like with the solo piano gig, I've applied a lot more of it, but part of, I guess it's like, I've always had the people pleaser, mindset. And that's been, it works to a point, and then it just becomes like diminishing returns of like, oh, I'm giving up my time and sanity and resources. And sometimes, my value to like, make sure that the piece is kept or things are accommodated, or, just trying to get through a weird gig or having to work with a client that you're just like, this person sucks.
Yeah.
I don't want to play this thing that they hired me to do, but all right, here, I guess I needed the money, but so it's a process of like, as I'm doing all these wellness practices, I think of today, like I have a phone meeting with my nutritionist, and I know I'm only going to have like 4 of the 7 days filled out with the food journal stuff. Yeah. Because I was like, all right, you said I had to eat, like when I was healing from COVID, to eat this way. And then that kind of rolled into the normal flow of how things were. But then I was so busy. It's like not beating myself up for having way too much on my plate. But still, because there is improvement. It's like I'm eating better. I'm at least from early 2021, I'm down a little over 50 pounds, and there's a lot of, changes in like sleep and I don't know, a little bit of focus and mental clarity, which is nice. It's not a lot of like in and out of food comas and just trying to like, all right, I'm trying to relax. And then the only way my, dopamine starved brain thinks it wants to relax is like, what if you got all of this food and then that was the rest of the day? It's just enjoying food and not moving. Like not even like being too burnt out to like, like, oh man, why do I have to go downstairs to get delivery? Why can't they just bring it? Just put it in my face, or just like throw it at it. Like it could still be contactless. Just throw it at me. Don't look at me.
Don't look at it. I don't need to know.
So it's been an interesting process, and also like those first steps of like trying to be more assertive of setting boundaries. And how unnatural it feels, because it's like it's advocating in a way that to me feels contentious, or it feels like I'm being, I don't know, not full blown combative, but just like, not immediately being like, yes, I have the means and the wherewithal to accommodate your life with my circumstances or my time because it's more flexible, but then it's like, yeah, but the more I do that, the less I have to, create anything or sleep.
Yeah.
Or
it's like that's a big lesson I've had to learn in my 20s for sure. I just turned 28.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Well, in November, but it feels, I can't believe it's January, but it like, I've definitely just very much been a yes man, forever. And but was taught from a very young age that saying no would deprive me of X, Y, and Z. And learning that that's not true. And also learning that that people pleasing nature of saying yes to everything and to everyone will not only deprive myself, but it deprives the people I love around me.
Right.
Which is that's a whole nother layer of it.
Yeah.
It was learning that Jody, for example, it's learning that saying yes to things that I don't want to say yes to depletes me and then doesn't allow me to provide emotionally for her or my mom. Right. or whoever, or to show up for Andy and Joe, and be right. present for them, because I've overworked myself with something that I don't even like doing. And sure, maybe that means I don't make as much money that I want to, but in the end, I have more capacity to do the things that I want to do and actually show up for myself and people that I want to show up for. Yes. That was a really hard lesson to learn that I still fight with, but I find myself seeing other friends have that same issue. Yeah. And be like, hey, you don't have to say yes to that. Hey, I wish I would have had a me yelling at me. So don't say yes to that. You don't have to do that. Yeah. What is that going to do? Sure, that's going to help you right now. Is that going to help you long term? No. Right. Oh, you're just going to be really tired and you'll maybe make $100 more, or you'll maybe make that person feel better when they don't pour back into you ever. Yeah. Oh, then what are you doing for you? Yeah. It's just, Jody keeps saying this all the time lately. She's like, I got to put the gas mask on my own face first, or the gas mask. Oh my God. The air mask on my own face first.
Oh, right.
With the airport.
Oh yeah. God. Yeah. Assist someone. Yeah. Before you put your own mask on.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's no, that's she says it as a joke, but I'm as a funny metaphor, but it's true. It's just no, you have to do that, because if you don't in a plane crash situation, if you don't help yourself with the oxygen, you're not going to be able to help anybody else there, because you're going to be dead.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. And when I think of it's been interesting having conversations with people in different career fields or different positions of income that have, it's gigging musicians are figuring out okay, how do we streamline it so that there's still art being created, there's still money coming in for the band that's part of the business and helps continue to grow everything. But then how do we also block off time to connect as a band, or block time to go, do our own things for a week mm-hmm. or 2 weeks or however long. And then I've had conversations with other people who, a lot of them in management positions, even if they understand some of the younger generation's attitudes towards work culture, there's still that level of when people want to work again. I'm who wants to work? No one wants to work. It's
you want to do that? Yes. It's no, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm as someone who has the potential, and even as much as I've stripped away from the schedule this year to make more room, stuff, asks come in all the time. There's, plenty of work that always needs to be done. Even if it's okay, this year is just Earth Radio. That's all right. We have merch to design and order. We have albums to put out. We have campaigns we might want to do for fundraising. We have media appearances. We have booking things. We have phone calls, emails, travel, performances, maintenance, like all these things just into one band. And then, that's why I feel like a lot of musicians are like trying to figure out the work-life balance, because a lot of us, even if we're not full-time musicians, it's like, if art is art is a big part of what we do, it's like you can't help but want to do a bunch of work. So it's like trying to divorce the idea that work hours equals meeting your passion. And that's really hard for me to actualize, because sometimes a day's going to be there where I don't have the capacity to work or energy, and maybe I only do one thing, but then you have to remind yourself that rest is productive. So it's like undoing that, that culture that would say the opposite. It's like, someone framed the idea of time management as like a capitalist, propaganda tool. And I was thinking about it, and it's like, yeah, I guess if, personal time management makes sense. If you're like, I want to budget time to go on a walk or make dinner, or, like have time to decompress after work or plan a trip. But then there's the other side of time management that gets harped on the internet, where it's like, you have to maximize your working hours. Like, I think of early Casey Neistat videos where he was like, I get up at 4 a.m. I do this, and then I have a 3-hour work block, food, a 6-hour work block, food, a 2-hour work block, 2 hours at home, sleep. And it's like, I'm like, that's no.
That's not human. That's not human at all. I actually work at Madcap. I just bag coffee like during the week. I literally it's pretty great. But they allowed me to, I was working 9 to 5 for a while, which I hate that shift so much. It's like your whole day. And I was in a 9 to 5 for a really long time. It was an 8 to 5 actually. And wow, I started doing it again, and I really like the job. The people there are really, really great, and like obviously like coffee and whatever. But it's a small team, so it's just like me and like 2 other production assistants. And I just was like, what if I did 7 to 3? And they're like, that's actually a really good idea, because I was telling them, I'm like, yeah, then our lunches aren't like on top of each other, and like I can prep us for the day, and like with my show schedule, like they're really cool about time off with like shows and stuff, which is really cool. But cool. If I work 7 to 3, I usually don't have to like leave early, or if I leave early, I'm missing like 2 hours instead of 4. Right. And like things of that nature. And they're just like, no, this is a really good idea. And it's actually been working out really, really well. And right before that, I was substitute teaching. So like I already was ready to wake up that early. I actually wake up naturally, or better anyway, at 6 rather than like 8. I don't know why my room is like that way. Yeah. But it's weird, but it's been like the best thing for like natural time management. Cause it's just like, I go in, the latest I work is 3. Yep. Right. What else I'm not going to be doing music at 7 a.m. Why would I be doing that? Yeah. That would be psycho. I'm done like the latest by 3. I drive home. I like my lunch is usually like at like 11 or 12, and I can go to the gym at 3:30 and nobody's really there because it's not rush hour and not like right before dinner or right after. And I have like this 3-hour time where I can answer emails or send do music submissions for like festivals, or like do some songwriting, do some tracking for like this new stuff that we're doing, and things like that. And it's just been so nice, because it's like I have it helps with like the money consistency, obviously. And all last year I tried to just do music myself. I was like playing bass in another band and like just trying to like book all that I could. And I found that, like we were talking about, it made the thing I like to do a job. and it made me also like not like put any of my energy or passion into like any of the new stuff that we're now doing.
Yeah.
It didn't make me think ahead and do anything intentionally. It was just making me think about, oh, what can I do right now for money?
Right.
And a lot of people can do it. And I think that's really cool. But like with the situation that I'm in, like being like a band leader and a founder and like, especially what Lipstick Jody's trying to do, it just wasn't working. It just wasn't working. And I'm like, no, I need to actually like make the time to put effort into this so that I can bring this to where I want to bring it and do the things that I want to do.
Yeah.
And it's just been really, really helpful. And then also like gives me time to like have dinner with my wife and like make dinner and like, again, go to the gym and like have therapy appointments at like a normal hour because I don't have to have them at like 6 p.m. or 8 a.m. Cause it just, I don't know. It doesn't work for everybody, obviously, but like, it's really just finding something that waiting for a job where like the people are so chill, the company is really chill, wants me to do, like, is like invested in what I'm doing, likes what I'm doing. They come to shows. It's really cool. And aren't like resentful when I have to take time off because they're just like, you gotta go do what you gotta go do. It's just another job. And I have never had that in my entire life. And I've had a lot of jobs. What a relief that is for them to not only be interested in what I'm doing, but like want me to do it and not be mad when I'm not there.
Right. Yeah. It's so huge to like, and you know, that's been one of the hesitations of, you know, my whole life. Cause the only times I've worked non-music jobs, it's either been, you know, like when I was in high school and involved more in like church stuff. And there would be times where I'd get paid through like, what was it called? Like the Workforce Investment Act is some way of like people getting stipends to pay I don't know what the legal working age is, but like basically paying teenagers to do work that is technically volunteer, but not, you know, it's not like, oh, volunteer construction, aside from, you know, a mission trip or something. But just like, you're gonna go fix roofs in Pittsburgh. Cool.
Well, now the 16-year-olds are just bartenders at like Applebee's. It's really weird. It's like, it's really, really weird.
They're all just like filling. Yeah. That's been another, you know, like, cause when I brought up earlier, like talking with people who are in management positions, it's like, I get people want employees to do the work that they're trying to have done for the businesses, but I don't know how much level of self-reflection they have because they don't see it. I feel like some business owners, like, granted, yes, it's terrifying to go into a pandemic and not know like how can you open or how do you know we've made these adjustments to have takeout, or you know we've started using Uber Eats even though it eats into our bottom line, or you know they've had to make difficult decisions. But then there's also the thing of like, all right, things are back to, you know, quote unquote normal, or you know perceived normal, and what have you done to change your work culture to draw people who are fatigued from this way we've all had to work forever? You know, it's like
also people that are having these huge realizations that like the thing that they're doing not only is not paying them enough money, but is not like actually their life, because they've been convinced for so long that it like, oh yeah, no, like this corporation is me. And it's like, no, you are a cog in the machine, my friend. I'm so sorry. Like, you are just a person and they need you. Like,
I think so much about, when I saw a friend from high school last year, he was talking about how his mother was, you know, still very committed to this company she had been working for like, I don't know, between 15 and 20 years. But he was pointing out to her, as like, yeah, but your pay's gone down in the last 5 years every year, and your benefits have changed, and you know, like you're at an age where like they're expecting you to retire, so they're, you know, they could rug pull those benefits at any moment. They could just like kick you off before those kick in to you know, bring in a fresh hire. Like there's no like everyone thinks that because they went to the bar with their boss that, especially the further removed from your boss, like if it's like, a small team, it's more likely there's some camaraderie, but there's, like if you're working at like a big company that has thousands of employees, they're making these decisions that, in their head are like, I have to, or else it eats into my salary or my ability to run the business. But then they don't understand the ripple effect of laying off 1,000 people. And like, all right, that's, let's just look at Timmy. Timmy now can't, like pay for this thing, or has to drop out of school, or has to, sell their possessions to make rent, or, there's no afterthought, because I think more of our generations, and because I'm 30, I'm not that much older, but like especially the Gen Zers and the Zoomers, I guess that's the same thing, but
I don't know what this. I don't know.
Whatever some social scientist said it was.
Yeah.
But like the way that they're learning more about the work culture structure of like, all these people who love capitalism are because they've benefited the most from it.
Absolutely.
And then the people who are examining capitalism are like, wait a minute. So you're saying like, I have to give you 2 weeks notice so that you have the time to collect yourself and your idea of who you can hire and put out feelers and all that, but you can fire me for whatever reason at any point, anytime. Like that doesn't seem like a problem.
No, not an issue. No, not an issue at all. Nope.
Yeah. And that's a bit, there's so many reasons that, because I was saying like I had done church work that was outside of music work until I started doing, I don't know, some more performing or sound work. And then I had tried to work at a steel plant. I was doing, it was a schedule that I'm like, how am I alive? It was like I would have classes like roughly 8:30 to like 11-ish. And so I'd, have to get up early to get to like drive downtown, park, take the bus up to Allendale because I was going to Grand Valley. And that was like, all right, I need to budget at least an hour, because if I miss one bus, I'll have a little bit of time to catch it. It's about a half hour to get up there. Basically fell asleep in all those math classes and didn't pass it. And then had an ethics class or something. And then I'd get out at 11. I'd have that same window of time to get back home, quick, throw on my work boots, maybe, whatever things I need to change into for work, grab a quick bite, drive to the plant, work 1 to 5, leave the plant, go back downtown because I was getting a stipend from the school to do the musical they were doing. So I would go back up to campus after work and do 6 to 10 and then go back home, same commute. So it'd be like 3 hours of commute every day, plus 3 different working environments.
God.
And I did that for like 2 months, and then I quit the job before the 90-day whatever evaluation, and I put in my 2 weeks around spring break, and I was like, I can't, like there's just too much. And yeah, it was like, it's like being in those environments against music stuff. It's like, I'm already doing so much music work. Why am I adding non-music work to it? But now I'm at the point too, where like, I'm trying to, I want to get better at like soldering and working with electronics, and there's
back to the steel shop, right back.
Yeah, go right back in.
that's how that's actually how you end the story. You're like, I've worked. I went right back there and started working again.
I've been there for 7 years. But well, it's like, especially thinking of, I have an office at Third Coast Recording Company, and I'm trying to think of ways, because I do a lot of session work there, but it'd be nice to develop some other skills where it like helps build out more of a team. So it's not just like, all right, these 2 engineers kind of do the bulk of the work, and then I am there to help speed up some of that with tracking, but I'm not always there. And it, it's not like I get, every time I step in there, I get paid to do something either. So it's like trying to create work that warrants getting some sort of additional pay or something. But yeah, I was, maybe it's a response to the pandemic, also thinking of like a lot of musicians who were kind of settled into their rhythm of like, I got a weekly gig 3 times a week and I play these gigs and I've been doing that for 10 years. And then all of those went away.
Yeah, no, we had one of those. It sucked. Like, and obviously it wasn't like our favorite thing to do, but we do like trying to do less than this year. We weren't doing that many to begin with, but it's just like, there are those gigs that you like, you go and you play for like 2 or 3 hours and you add a shit ton of covers that I try to do ones I like, but also that pander the audience, obviously, but like, in like as an original band, that's not what you want to be doing, but it like usually they pay pretty well and like you end up taking some people home with you, and we lost a couple of those over the shutdown just because the restaurants died, or the bars died. And it's just like, oh shit, like like no one thinks about the actual ripple effect of that.
It's also, I think a lot of times too, where a lot of the times when people see us working and playing in bands, it's like we are genuinely having fun, even if it is work, and we are, being expressive and trying to be entertaining or trying to be connective in some way. But then they think, they go home with that positive memory, and then sometimes, they might not connect with your socials, or they might not see other content other than stuff you've, rehearsed, recorded, and produced and put out. So there's no, like, as much as people say like, yeah, social media is about authenticity, it's like entertainers, not so much.
No,
like,
no,
not all the time.
Every time I have to make a TikTok, I have to act something out, like every time. And it's like, I like doing it, but again, like, it's just like, would I do this naturally? No.
Yeah.
Like, no. I did it when I was younger, and I was like coming, like it wasn't as serious then, but I can remember like the Royals by Lord cover I did, like little mini cover that I like put on Instagram or something, and like, but I wouldn't do it as frequently or as like seriously as I do it now, like naturally, like absolutely not. Like, that's a lot. It's a lot to think about. Like, come to a show, man. Like, I don't know, or listen to our album. I don't know.
Yeah, I've had to navigate decision fatigue too with like, as creatives, we have so many tools that past generations didn't have, but at the same token, I feel like because of some of the restrictions on how stuff, it's like, all right, this single's going to radio and television, so there's only this we need to do to have that happen. And now it's like, oh, you could pop off on, I don't know, like Mixer or Twitch or, any of these multitude of platforms that all have different ways of operating. And so you feel compelled to like, okay, this, I like being in a sandbox. I like, seeing what toys I can, play with and what things I can make. But then, it's like you don't want to be omnipresent because you're, especially if you're independent, because it's hard to put out like, all right, I need to, make 10 platforms worth of content every day and then multiple times a day. It's like,
that's the part of time management I haven't figured out yet. It's just like, I'm like, I can batch these, but like,
but how?
how and like, will it line up with what's going to happen next? Like how, how it, like plan wise, will this matter? like is like, it's like a cost and effect like type situation. I'm like, is it worth the work that I'm going to be doing if like the planning all misses?
Right.
Like if at the time that I post all misses, like, is it going to be like, I did the SZA cover the other day. Cause I just wanted to, like, straight up.
Right.
Cause I'll get into like I'll get, especially right now, it's like we have, I wrote so many songs. That's true. I wrote too many. I wrote way too many. And like, basically we've like condensed them into some body of work, but we want to like release a couple singles like in the spring, and then like shop around for a different label, and also like keep working with the sync company that we work with, because we got that Netflix deal, and it's like if you get one, you start getting more, which is nice. It's just like, oh no, we got on Netflix. Oh no. But like, yeah, just to keep the momentum going, and just to continue to like create and like make art as well. But yeah, I wrote too many songs. But when I get into that point, I don't want to write anything new, because it's just like I need to focus on what's in front of me, because if I literally cannot add another track to this. Like I can't do
Stop.
This. Like you got it. Like you got to chill. Like you got to do anything else. So I'll start doing these like mini covers, and it usually like helps with like any sort of like creative urge that I'm having, or like sometimes I just want to sing somebody else's song, or sometimes I want to like do like an A/B thing and kind of like see if I can recreate what they're doing.
Right.
Like just production wise, which like it's stimulating. It helps me learn, and I think it's fun. And yeah, I put it all together, thought it'd be cool, and then it just like didn't really do anything. And I'm like, well, son of a bitch. Like why? Like it's just like why even? I'm like why did I even do it? But at the same time, I have to like take a step back and remember, I'm like, no, you had fun doing that. Like, it's okay. Like, it's literally fun. Like, and I also like, I'm sure someone enjoyed it. Like, I know Andy did. Like, right, that's all that matters. Like,
yeah, because I think of even like my Instagram stories, I treat as almost like a, it's like, this is my brain. Like, look at it and see all these posts. That's my brain. It's like, this is interesting. That's funny. That's engaging. Hey, here's something about how like, cities used to be built on walkability. And ever since the auto industry muscled their way into legislation, they've made everyone car dependent, and it's ruined cities. And that's why everything's not fun to try and do when you're trying to find parking in the middle of downtown. Anyway, come see my show tomorrow. Like, it's all just like this swirling, like, cacophony of like, I have a lot of interests, and it's trying to figure out a way to hone it and focus it in, but also seeing people who are like, multifaceted creative types who, I think of like the Game Grumps. They're like entertaining YouTubers that it started as like in the heyday of when Let's Plays, I guess, were starting. And a lot of people did the model of like, all right, there's a face cam, put you in the window. People still do that for live streams and stuff. But it was just two dudes on a couch playing random games and I don't know, having fun with it. And now Game Grumps as a brand is like, they have a very robust merch store that has a lot of cool ideas that are very personable to the people involved. They made a touring company to support, creatives online who often get rejected by some of these like old media type, agencies, and they can help book, international tours. They have like multiple music projects that also tour and sell out theaters. Like, and it all just started because some high school dropout was like, I want to play video games with my friend, and then had at least enough of the energy behind it and a singular vision to like have like, all right, this has started, we'll develop it. This is a cool idea. Let's incorporate it. And it's, they're not the biggest, they're not like Mr. Beast, who his brain is the algorithm. He knows how to like make a thing that it'll cost him $1 million to produce, but he'll earn, a third of that from YouTube minimum in like the first week, and then can sell, the next third of it in merch in the by the end of the month. And then by the time the end of the month comes around, the rest of the revenue comes in on the back end of the ads and whatever brand deal. And it's like, okay, I didn't grow up obsessing about the algorithm though. So that's not a skill set I have. Right. So it's like figuring out the way to be expressive and feel good about it, and not, especially me being the people pleaser brain. It's like,
I
Wow.
told you it's like I think it not to interrupt. They usually
No.
do it. They usually do it around like 9 or 10 at night. But lately it's been like closer to 5, which I find very interesting because I think they're scared of the dark, is what I've decided.
Yeah.
They don't want to do it at the dark. They're like, oh, the sun's gonna set. We gotta go around, do our laps, you guys.
Yeah.
Like, anyway. It's so annoying. Jody and I are just like, God, like there they go. Yet again.
There they go.
like clockwork.
It was like the motorcycle gangs or whatever. The people on the mini bikes, the people on larger motorcycles, the 60 people on mopeds, like just people just riding around town. And it's like, cool. It's like, it's about the same level of like, I feel like I would give a flock of birds more like, because it's like nature versus like compensating or anger or I don't know. You like making loud noises and having the attention pointed at you, regardless of if it's positive or negative.
Yeah, I'm like, cool. You own a motorcycle. Okay, like I could too.
Yeah.
Okay. Sick.
Yeah, it's hard to get into a culture. Well, I guess any culture where someone's personality is how much they own from that culture versus like how much they're actually involved in it. It's kind of weird. Like I follow video game collectors, but some of them are like the reseller type that are like, this is how you drop ship. And it's like, okay, you just like the games because it's, retro collecting is at a peak value right now and you're itemizing your store versus like, I grew up with this and I love that I can, it brings me back to childhood. And here's a fun fact about this game you might not have known. But anyway, like trying to, what was I saying? The motorcycles.
I know. No, that happens daily in our house. I'm like, what were we just talking about? They're ruining my life.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I mean, I guess overall it was just about like, it was about like, the intention behind content creating and trying to navigate those spaces and just, I don't know, figuring out a way to do it that's fun. And I think of like a post I made on Earth Radio's page the other day. It took 5 seconds of thought to make it. I just picked some photos from our photo shoot of Hannah and it was her birthday. Yeah. And I was just like, go say happy birthday. And that got way more. I
thought that was cute.
I'm like, it got way more, way more being like, instead of 20, it had 70.
It's like, always those ones. It's always the ones that you're like, I'm just gonna throw this together. I don't know. And it's always that one that's like, oh yeah, like that. We played at Bell's last year, and I literally just like took I sweeped my phone, like this, and I just took a video of soundcheck like straight up, and it was just like, hey, we're playing at Bell's tonight, which like again, usually like. It's not always, but I always find it funny that like a lot of the posts that are like, hey, come play the show, like aren't as engaged with.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn it, just listen to me.
Yeah,
like, what do you even follow me for then? Like, God, you don't even like music, whatever. But yeah, I just swept a sound check and it like the reel like went off. Like and I'm just like, you guys, this wasn't even planned. Like there's nothing in this of value. Like really.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
I don't understand why you're watching it. Like I don't understand what's going on.
Yeah. And then
it was really funny.
Yeah. It's like, and then you want to have like, when something does pop off, you want the feedback and then nobody, it's like, do you like these videos? And there's no response to a Q&A or there's no, and I'm like, okay, like I get that maybe I sent it during working hours or maybe you're going to get to it tomorrow, but the story is going to disappear tomorrow. Like, I don't know if you know how this internet thing works. We've been doing for 15 years.
Literally.
Like,
it's so frustrating. I'm just like, I need like I'm doing this for you, and I need you to give me the feedback that I need in order to continue to do this for you in like a curated way. Please, I'll do anything really.
It's like,
no, but like we don't people please anymore, Dutcher. We don't do that.
Yeah, no. You don't get anything. No.
No.
But because it's like, I think of at the extreme end of the spectrum, it's like the people who have no shame. There's either like, I don't know, the narcissistic personality disordered people, the grifter types at the worst end, and then the weird in between. Like Florida is a content hub full of people who have gator in their name and have like, filed teeth to look like an alligator and tattooed bodies, and they do, hillbilly boxing, and they just advertise it, and that's how they make a living. And you're like, what? It's like this guy's called Gum Gang. Why is he called Gum Gang? He has no teeth. Why doesn't he have teeth? I don't know. He's just hitting this guy in the face, and he's got 500,000 Instagram, or, like, it's like, okay, so what is my version? What is my level of not having shame is trying to make certain types of content that I feel proud of, but then it's not reciprocated necessarily in ways sometimes in ways I want to have happen, where it's like, okay, there's a regular, people commenting or showing up. But then I also see people who, they try to follow a model that's like, like Kev on Stage. Like, he's a comedian, he's a business owner. He does a great job of like, he'll find some funny internet content, comment on it, and then pin his tour dates in the comments, because it's usually like, like, oh, every Black family had this in their home growing up, and then millions of comments of just like, yeah, my mom had that too, my mom. And then that directly advertises his comments, or the comment post of the tour dates. But then other people who try to do that, they're just like posting memes with no comments and just being like, isn't that funny? And then they get like 15 likes, and they're like, my business strategy isn't working. I'm not saying anything. I'm just reposting what's already everywhere on the internet, and nothing's happening. And it's it's like trying to find the middle ground of all of this.
Yeah, I mean, all is to say, I think I've thought about it for a minute, and I really just think that I'm gonna turn the Lipstick Jody TikTok account into a Taylor Swift cover account, because that's the only thing that anyone ever responds to,
right,
and gives me feedback about. So I'm just gonna do that. I'm like, that's fine. I know a lot of the discography. I think that if that's like the effort I need to put in, that's what I'm going to do.
Right.
And there's like a whole, TikTok theme. No, what am I trying to say? Not theme. I'm tired. Trend. Yeah. I'm tired today. Of like, it's a bunch of queer people, like completely, like mostly lesbians, like dissecting her, like Taylor Swift songs, and they're just like, she's gay, like, listen, she's gay, look, like, and there's like, it's like all of these little hints that she's like giving us, and like, right. some of it's actually pretty
convincing.
Some of it's, I mean, to be honest, I'm just like, you know what, I can see it, I can absolutely see it, but I think that I'm going to turn the Lipstick Jody account into a Taylor Swift cover account. And then I'm going to directly market to that pocket of people.
Oh, yeah.
And because I'm gay. And then I'm like, here, I'll actually take the Taylor Swift songs that you like, that you want to be gay so badly, and I'll make them that way. Perfect. Right. Here you go. That's my new strategy. You can have it. That's my brand new strategy that I just came up with.
Oh, your dog's barking. Yeah. And that's the other thing too, is like seeing the people who found the niches within the niches. Like on my other podcast that's focused around keyboard players, I'm trying to set up an interview probably at the end of February with Glasses. who's like a dude. I can never remember his actual name, but his like when I first saw him, he did a Tiny Desk in like 2019 where he was using, a sequential synth keyboard thing, and he was playing some, cool melody line that had a pad. And then in his left hand, he had a modified Akai controller where it had 2 rows of arcade buttons and then the little normal key bed. And he was playing bass lines and then using the arcade buttons to trigger these MIDI programmable, like they look like little ball with little pistons, and they just like trigger and hit drum heads. So he was like playing bass and a live kit with his left hand while playing other stuff. And
I need to go look that up. That's really sick.
Yeah. And now he's gotten really good because, like Jacob Collier's done some MIDI art. Other people have done MIDI art. But he gets like, someone will be like, I bet you can't draw a skeleton. And then he'll like in real time play some convoluted sounding thing that kind of sounds like music or like sounds more like music than you would expect to make an image happen in real time. And I'm like, okay, is the process, are you using the MIDI as like an artist would use a stencil and you're like tracing it out and then bouncing it to a score, learning the score and then playing it back? Or are you an artist in with that in the sense that you've learned different techniques of like, if I play a major chord, this is what I can play. If I play an octave, this is what's drawn. If I play it. So it's like people find those niches, but he also tours with Todd Rundgren. So it's like, he's got this online persona thousands of people know about, but then there's a whole separate demographic that has no idea what he does online that just knows him as Todd Rundgren's keyboard player right now or something. So.
That's really, it's really like, imagine just being like playing a synth. I don't know. I feel like I always have this idea, like when things are made and I'm just like, oh, they were just like sitting, just sitting down in their studio or like in their like space one day. And then like this accidentally happened. That's always the story in my head where like, he was like, he's in there and he's just like screwing with some, like, he's just on a synth. And then all of a sudden, like, but he's got it like connected to, I'm picturing like a synth with like the little waveform box on it. And he just like noticed that it kind of like made something. And then that's how he was like, actually, I wonder if I could dive deeper into that. And that's how it started to happen. I don't know.
Right.
Probably not it, but that's what my mind wants to think.
Yeah. Well, and then someone recently pointed out to him that if you spectrally analyze the audio in like, I think it was in an RF or RX plugin, not RF, not the video format from the 80s or whatever. It was like, it's like he took one of the MIDI art recordings, and then when he ran the audio through the, and analyzed the waveform in this different presentation, it's still in the spectral analysis of it showed the image at a certain frequency range. Like he zoomed in, it's like, yep, there's the bat. It's right there. It's still there, even in the audio, separate from the MIDI. And so now he's like, do you want to see more of these? And I'm like, so now you just have a whole new library of like content just because someone was like, yeah, you could do this too. And I'm like, okay, so is the idea get super specific on creating something, and then as people also chime in with their input, it evolves how you can diversify it? Or like, I don't know. I was like, crazy.
It reminds me of the girl. I can't think of her username right now, but she's a brunette and probably like 25 or something. But she had a Starbucks apron, and she like does all the weird, crazy transitions. And they just get like as her career, quote unquote, has like moved on, like the transitions get more and more intense and more like weird or creepy or scary, but like it still like comes back to like the original thing that she did, which was like, she's got this like Starbucks apron on, and she like comes up to a car in a parking lot, and it's just like, here you go. And it's just a cup of milk in a Starbucks cup. And then she like spills it. She like tips it over like as if it's like Dairy Queen or something.
Yeah.
And then pulls it back up and goes, here you go. And then she like backs up and like she's covered in milk because she's just spilled it all over herself. And she just completely starts spinning so that the milk goes everywhere. But it's so absurd. Like it's very specific, but that's what did it.
Yeah.
Like it was just so weird. And she's got dead eyes.
Right.
That, like people were just like, what the hell is she doing? I want to see more of that. And it was just, it's just really funny. It's just really good.
Yeah. It's definitely like, because that's where I'm like, it's like, I think of reality TV, it's like there's a comfort to some people in that format of like, okay, it's, there's these 14 people and they're all thrown into a house and 90% of them are gorgeous. And you just figure out like, like, oh, do I actually like these people? Who do I like? Who's my favorite? Team this person, hashtag. And then you just build a culture around that. But then I see like, the internet and I'm like, it's way more interesting to like see these, like I think of like Tom Segura's podcast. I don't really, I listen to it sometimes if there's like a fun guest, but his wife, Christina, also a great comedian. She will curate the weirdest parts of TikTok that she'll find. And it's like, men in their 40s crying because like, Martha, you never answer the phone, baby. I would need you, baby. And it's like, this is not a private message. Oh no. And then like, some dude from Florida who's like, what are your passions? Well, I have rainbow dreads and I eat roaches. And you're like, what? This is a career? How do you... It's like, what?
Just because she just noticed something that was like happening, that these specific things are happening, and she's just like, let's dissect this. Yeah. Like let's fixate on this for a moment.
Yeah,
I think it's great.
And I love like, because I remember showing Steve Leaf some of YouTuber Drew Gooden, who I guess started on Vine when that was a thing, and then he makes a lot of commentary videos, and a recurring series he does around the holidays is he'll consume a lot of like, like Hallmark Christmas movies or Netflix like really bad or very vapid, kind of like copy paste, especially the Hallmark. Like you look at a smearing of their covers and it's like, couple in front of Christmas tree, warmth of fire, it is Christmas. And like it's like home for Christmas, I will be home for Christmas, not home for Christmas, making it home for Christmas, home for the holidays at home. And and he'll find the ones that are like that are just so funny to talk about for all the little details. And it's like, that's a niche that would be fun to occupy, because it's like you get to be creative in how you present it. It's just funny to like look at a thing that was produced and be like, who was making these decisions?
Right.
Why, like this extra is like, doesn't have a line, but they don't walk off frame and they can't get into the house that's, part of the shot. So they're just standing in the doorway looking at the camera or like,
God. Who greenlit this?
Yeah. I'm like, this movie was $1 million. Like, how?
I would love $1 million.
Yeah. I'm like, give me $1 million and I will not waste it all at once on a bad thing.
No shit. Yeah. No,
I will
seriously.
invest it over the next 25 years, 30 years.
That's so good.
Yeah. It's definitely a good time in terms of like awareness and clarity in a lot of the music industry, but it's also an interesting time of like, like Facebook's being, under fire for so many things, and they own Instagram.
As they should be.
And yeah, it's like, I don't, yeah, it's like you can't cause a genocide in Myanmar and not have people be like, hey, no,
wait,
don't do that. It's like, stop. And like, and then like, I know some of it is cybersecurity threats. Some of it might be anti-China propaganda, but like with TikTok being investigated, and then it's like, okay, I guess I'll stay on Twitter. Nope, it's owned by a spoiled failed son, and he hates people who make fun of him.
Sure does. Sure does. But I went to the moon.
Yeah, guys, I'm cool. I have a lot of money, and I wasted it all on a website that I was using for free to pretend I was the lord of the incels.
Really though, it's just wild right now. It's funny that I didn't think I was gonna come talk about the internet today. Like I really didn't.
No, that's part of this podcast is like, if I come in with prompts, it's it helps steers conversation, but I like the conversations that are like, no, that, like you're going to hear us promote our albums. Like that's a given. You're going to hear us talk about like that chord. That was awesome. I played that chord. It was sick. And then, it's like, but how often are you going to hear people's, process or approaches, stuff that other musicians can benefit from, but also people who are outside of the music space can be like, oh, that's interesting because I'm barely on Facebook. I'm only on Facebook to share, unironic like wine mom, signs that are actually turned, they're set against a stock photo of a sunset, and it talks about how life is a beach or something. And
yeah, and they have no it's almost like they thought that just appeared one day. Like no one made that. Like that was made for them. Wow. Yeah. By God himself.
Yeah. God is in the algorithm.
It's not incorrect.
Yeah. He, she is they, hey, no.
God, they, them.
They, them, Jesus.
It's actually me. I'm changing our band name immediately. Oh my God. They, them, genius. Or genius. Jesus. Yeah. I mean, either way, let's go. I think it'd be great. Jody will be so happy. She'd be like, oh, the band's not named after me anymore. Thank God.
I can finally have some peace.
I can finally rest. Yeah. That's really good.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's been great chatting, and I'm sure we'll, chat again on this podcast at some point. And we got the show on March 18th for all you people out there who want to come see Lipstick Jody, Lady Ace Boogie, who I'm trying to get on the podcast before then too, and Earth Radio's putting out our new music. So
the pause was I thought you were gonna forget like the last band. I'm like, it's you, man. Like I was like, no. And,
there's the other one. I know I'm there. But am I attending the show? Why am I promoting it? But
it's actually, we're gonna be Earth Radio, and you guys can be Lipstick Jody. So.
That would be a funny. I feel like Steve Leaf would be into that idea. Like,
oh yeah,
book like a 3-band bill, but we learn each other's music and parody each other's bands.
That'd be insane.
A Halloween show or something.
Yeah, I would absolutely. I basically do drag as Hannah. Absolutely, like absolutely would do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
that'd be a funny. So I had that thought about tribute. It's like, why do we need to only have tribute bands to like the dead? Like, why can't we like celebrate people who are living and doing things right now?
That's why I like Drag Race, because it's like a lot of the time they're just being like, they're doing like Cher impressions, or like when they do like the Snatch Game, they're like just being all of these alive celebrities, and I'm just like, this is so good. Like I can't imagine like watching that and then like seeing somebody like impersonate me. That'd be the highlight of my life. Just like, I'm like, you got it. You really did it. Or you didn't. And it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Like
you really didn't, but you went for it.
Yeah. Right. But yeah, no, I'm so excited for the show. It's gonna be really fun.
Yeah.
That's a really good bill.
Yes.
if I do say so myself.
Right. Yeah. Is there anything, I don't know, like you're working on new music, but I don't know if there's anything in Lipstick Jody sphere people should know about, or where should people, because, I'll put links and stuff. Where should people find who and where you are?
Yeah. I mean, we have a collection of songs that we are finishing up right now. We're going to release probably 2 or 3 of them this spring, probably March, April. And then go on a couple of out of town, out of state mini tours with a couple of really cool bands. So I'm just,
oh, nice.
Yeah, it'll be cool, but no like solid dates quite yet, but just know that there is new stuff coming, and it is a lot. We were showing Pink Sky, actually, some of them, like just the demos, and they're just like, these sound so like mature, like it really sounds like you guys like figured it out. And I'm like, yeah, we're really, really excited for them. They sound really, really cool. And like, I love the last album we did, like, don't get me wrong, but I really like honed in like storytelling, because I never really let myself do that.
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty vague with my lyrics, but I actually like focused on that. And just also, like, Andy and I realized a lot of our songs from the last album are like slower. And we were like, no, we want people to dance. So we wrote a lot of really fast, like upbeat, like head bobbing, like actual fast dancey songs. So I'm excited to play those live too, which I think we're going to bring a handful of them to the show in March.
Ooh.
So
yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah. Well, yeah. With this musical contract, I won't see a lot of people till that show, but if I don't see you before then, I'll see you at the show.
That sounds great. I'm excited.
Yeah. Awesome. Karli Morehouse, everyone. Wasn't that great? You can catch Lipstick Jody around Michigan, around the Midwest, and you can see them, like we mentioned, on March 18th when Earth Radio releases our next EP. The bill will be us, Lipstick Jody, and Lady Ace Boogie over at the Pyramid Scheme. So get your tickets, all those good things. But go check out Lipstick Jody. Check out all the stuff they're doing. Great group of people. Super fun to talk to Karli. And again, if you want to support these podcasts, you can go to patreon.com/Dutcher Snedeker. You can also check out stuff on DutcherSnedeker.com. But until the next episode, see you then. Thanks for tuning in.